We are studying in section D 3.1 reproduction, and in this particular video we're going to be looking at insect-pollinated flowers. There's a PDF of this presentation that's linked into the description below the video, and down there you will also find a 10-question quiz with answers. You can use that to evaluate your own learning. The type of insect-pollinated flower that we're going to look at initially are the hermaphroditic flowers, and this means that there will be both the male and female components present within the flower structure. So the flower is the reproductive structure of this particular plant. The male component is composed of the anthers, which produce the pollen. And those anthers are on a stalk called the filament, and together these structures are known as stamen. And you can see that within the image there are a number of stamen just inside the petals. The female component is comprised of the stigma, seen in the center of the flower here, onto which the pollen grains will land, a style, and the ovary. Now the ovary contains the plant eggs, which are known as ovules. Because we are dealing with insects as the pollinators, in other words, the insect is taking the pollen grain from the male to the female component, acting as a vector, the insect has to be attracted to the plants, and there are a number of strategies for this, including the production of scent or chemicals that the insect can follow those chemicals along a gradient towards the flower, and this operates over great distances where the chemicals are very low concentrations, and their antennae are particularly sensitive to those particular chemicals. So having located the flower, there is then, in the colorful petals, there's a visual signal in the colorful petals which allows the insect to direct its activities. But the reason why the bee is, or the insect is actually going to the flower, is because the flower is going to provide the animal, the bee in this case, with a source of food. And that is produced in nectaries and takes the form of fructose. So a bee will remove from the plant, from the flower, it will remove the fructose, which it will ingest, and pollen will be found on the external surface of the bee, and in fact is often accumulated on specific structures on the bee leg. And in this way, the bee acts as a vector, taking the pollen grain from the male component to the female component of the plant for fertilization. However, students will be aware that for pollen grain to go from here to here in the same flower, that would be self-pollination, and that would lead to low variation in the offspring of the flower, of the plant. What needs to be encouraged are mechanisms of cross-pollination, in which the pollen from the anther is taken to an entirely different plant for cross-pollination, and this would produce wide or greater variation in the offspring of the fertilization. To achieve this, in the hermaphroditic plants, the way that is used is that the anthers and the carpels often mature at different phases. And so whilst the anther may be producing pollen, the stigma, style, ovary combined as the carpel are not yet mature. And so self-pollination doesn't actually function. And so cross-pollination is encouraged in this manner. There are alternative strategies which we could look at briefly that include having different sexes of plant. This is typical of the apple. So you would need to have a male apple tree in your orchard if you're an apple producer. This can also be achieved by having separate male and female flowers on the plant, and this would also tend to encourage cross-pollination as well. Self-pollination, whilst less desirable, remains a reproductive strategy if cross-pollination possibilities have been reduced. And together they will result in the formation of seeds, and we'll take a look at fertilization and seed structure and germination in the following videos, which are linked on the left there, with a chance to subscribe to the channel in the middle, and the entire playlist for reproduction on the right hand side there. Thank you very much for listening.